Hi you all, it's Jessica from Diamond & Sticks YouTube channel. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome in, you're welcome here. On today's video, we're going to be doing an introduction to this character here on the video game called Dead by Daylight. It is a horror video game, and this character's name is the Clown. He is prestige to a level 4. Here is what he looks like on the character map. And this is how I have him dressed up right now in the cosmetics. This is the person's account that I use with playing video games and other things. Let's go ahead and get into his bio about him. It says the Clown. Kenneth Chase was born in 1932 by a difficult labor which his mother wouldn't survive. This event drove a rift between him and his father that never closed. As the boy grew, so did his father's resentment and his drinking habit. By the time Kenneth was at school, they lived mostly separate lives. Academically, he was unremarkable, coasting by on his significant athletic prowess. I hope I pronounced that word right. He grew tall and strong, excelling at track events, but shunned any attempts to coax him into team sports. On his walk home from school, he would often find feathers on the ground. He soon began a collection, keeping them in a cigar box under his bed. With his father either at work or in an alcohol-induced stupor, Kenneth had hours to spend alone, transfixed by the regularity of the feathers, barbs, and feeling the softness as he ran them over his lips. Watching the birds that came to the feeder in his garden, he imagined how soft they must be and resolved to catch one. He ingratiated himself with the local dentist, soon procuring some anesthetic. Using this, he rigged up a trap on the feeder that he hoped would knock out a bird long enough that he could touch it. After a few failed attempts, he managed to trap a robin. As it lay in his hand, he felt a sudden rush of a life at his mercy. He had planned to release it once it recovered from the anesthetic. Instead, as it closed its eyes, flickered back into consciousness, and it began to struggle. His grip remained firm. His fingers slowly tightened around its throat, squeezing until its chest feathers were finally still. He disposed of the body, keeping just a feather, with which he started a new collection, discarding the others as fake. By the late 1940s, Kenneth had left school and started working as a busboy at a local diner. He also escalated to large prey like squirrels, raccoons, and dogs, becoming skilled at customizing the anesthetic dosage for each. In the early 1954, a young man went missing, and the town was turned upside down in search. A few months later, Kenneth's father, while doing some work in the crawl space under the house, found a cigar box. He broke it open and saw, to his horror, that it contained feathers, animal paws, and a man's finger. Returning from work, Kenneth saw his father leaving the crawl space with a cigar box in his hands. He turned on his heel and never went home again. After a few weeks of living rough he encountered a traveling circus, and with his prodigious strength was hired to work the ropes. He assumed a new name, Jeffrey Hawk. Suddenly, surrounded by a close-knit community, Jeffrey had to learn to socialize. He donned a new personality like a disguise, quickly becoming known as a charming and helpful, and was welcomed into his new family. Over the next decade, he stayed with the circus, traveling the length and breadth of the USA, but with the inherent life providing few repercussions. He fell into bad habits, drink, junk food, drugs, and he indulged all of them to excess. For a time, these vices were enough, but then his old urges returned and his nomadic existence became a cover for him to resume killing. He stole clothes and makeup from performers, fashioning a disguise that would let him get close to his victims before he anesthetized them, bringing them back to his caravan where they would await to find themselves bound and at his mercy. He would finally get to have his fun, mentally and physically torturing them, their screams fueling him, before being lost in the night. Once their strength was at its lowest, he would carefully examine their fingers, searching for the prettiest, running them over his tongue to find the tastiest. Once he found the best, he would cut it from their hand and proudly add it to his collection, disposing of the rest of the body as pointless waste. Men, women, young and old, he didn't care. The existence of a good collection is in the variety, in the memories and stories they evoke. He removed the costume less and less, shredding his old personality with it, fully embracing the clown, his true self. With time, he became complacent and sloppy. A victim managed to work free of her bindings while he was sleeping off the drink. She escaped, screaming for help, and he awoke to find the rest of the circus bearing down on him. He whipped his horse, and the caravan disappeared into the night. Since then, he has roamed the country, a parasite who could always be found at a carnival or circus, but who would never been seen on any playbill. He lured those brave or foolish enough to come near, trapped them, and moved on before they could be found missing. Somewhere along the way, he left the ordinary roads of the USA behind him, traveling through a veil of mist and entering a new realm. It was a place of transience and impermanence, perfectly suiting the life he had chosen to lead. Feeling more at home than he had in his entire life, he set up camp and waited for his first visitor. So that's the bio of the clown, his backstory. Now let's get into his perks. Coulrophobia, very rare because it's in the purple. Even those without a fear of clowns known to be terrified of you, survivors within a terror radius have a 50% penalty to healing progression speed, and healing skill checks move 50% faster. Pop goes the weasel. This is very rare because it's in the purple. A deep bond with the entity unlocks great strength. After hooking a survivor, the next generator you damage instantly loses 20% of its current progress. Normal generator regression applies after the damage generator action. Pop goes the weasel is active for 45 seconds after the survivor is hooked. His last one is bamboozle. It's in the purple, so it's very rare. Your vault speed is 15% faster. Performing a vault action calls upon the entity to block that vault location to survivors for 16 seconds. Only one vault location may be blocked in the way at any time. Does not affect pallets. Now let's look at his customizations. I play on that person's account. The only time the person, the owner of this account, plays this game is when they're streaming, and they haven't streamed it in months. So let's look at his clothing that I have earned or bought for him. Hot dog cook. This is what it looks like. I like that one too a lot. Then it's Jesterfied. That's the one I'm using right now on him. Pagalercito, if I'm not pronouncing that right, I'm sorry, but that's what it looks like. Pumpkin Eater, and that's what it looks like. And then the clown, that's his original outfit, and that's what it looks like. Customizations and just the killer side either way. I don't know why, but it always costs us more on this game to buy the killers or their clothing. The clown is an original character to this game, Dead by Daylight, but I think you have to buy him with like iridescent shards. And this is what his loadout looks like. I don't really play the clown. I've only played the clown a couple times. I think he's kind of hard to play, and I think he's kind of hard to play against too. But this is what the owner has on him for his perks and his loadout. And then this is what his blood web looks like. He is prestige to level 4. And there he is on the character map. And that's what he looks like. I appreciate y'all for watching. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to y'all later. And I have a cat on my lap too. It's sitting here clawing me to death as I was doing my video. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye-bye.